Imagine two people. One has a PhD and earns six figures. The other never finished college. 10 years later, the second person is wealthier. How is that possible? The answer isn't intelligence, it's psychology. Stick with me for the next few minutes, because by the end of this video, you're going to look at your own money decisions completely differently. You're going to understand why you've made choices that didn't make sense on paper, why just be smarter with money has never actually worked for you, and what you can start doing today to fix it. Let's get into it. Let's start with a question. If being smart made you good with money, then doctors, lawyers, and engineers would all be rich, right? But that's not what happens. Study after study has shown that some of the highest-earning professionals in the world, people who spent a decade in school, who can solve equations you and I couldn't even read, still end up living paycheck to paycheck. How does someone who's brilliant enough to perform surgery struggle to build a savings account? Here's a story. Meet James. James is a doctor. He spent 8 years in medical school and residency, graduated with honors, and now earns close to $300,000 a year. On paper, James should be one of the wealthiest people you know. But James is not wealthy. James leases a luxury car every 3 years. James lives in a 5-bedroom house he doesn't need. James has almost nothing saved for retirement because every time his income goes up, so does his spending. James is smart. James is not wealthy. And if you asked him why, he probably couldn't tell you, because the problem isn't in his brain, it's in his behavior. Now meet Diane. Diane works as a school administrator. She never finished her college degree. She makes a modest, steady income, nowhere close to what James makes. But Diane has a fully funded retirement account, no debt, and a growing investment portfolio. Diane isn't smarter than James. She just does different things with her money. Small, boring, consistent things. So here's the question that should be bothering you right now. If it's not intelligence that separates James from Diane, what is it? It's not IQ. It's not their degrees. It's not how many books they've read about finance. The truth is, managing money is not an intelligence problem. It's a behavior problem. And behavior isn't driven by how smart you are, it's driven by how you feel. Think about it this way. Knowing that a candy bar is bad for you doesn't stop you from eating it after a stressful day. Knowing that you should exercise doesn't get you out of bed at 6 a.m. Knowledge and behavior are two completely different things, and nowhere is that gap bigger than with money. In fact, sometimes intelligence works against you. Smart people are really good at justifying their bad decisions. They can build a logical-sounding argument for almost anything. Why they deserve that purchase, why the market is different this time, why their debt is strategic. Give a smart person a bad financial habit, and they'll find the smartest-sounding reason in the world to keep doing it. So if intelligence isn't the answer, what actually determines whether you become wealthy or stay stuck? The answer is psychology. It's your relationship with fear, comfort, identity, and instant gratification. And once you understand how those forces work, you can finally start working with your brain instead of against it. Here's something that might be hard to accept. Most of your money decisions were never really about money. They were about how you felt in that moment. Think back to the last time you bought something you didn't plan to buy. Was it because you carefully calculated that it was a wise financial decision? Or was it because you were stressed, or bored, or excited, or trying to reward yourself for a hard week? Be honest. For most of us, it's the second one. Let's talk about Marcus. Marcus had a rough week at work. His boss criticized a project in front of the whole team, and he drove home replaying the moment over and over. That night, he opened his laptop just to browse and ended up buying a $400 pair of headphones he'd been eyeing for months. Did he need them? No. Could he really afford them right now? Not really. But in that moment, buying them felt like taking back control of something. It felt like relief. That's not a math decision. That's an emotional decision wearing a financial disguise. Have you ever done something similar? Have you ever opened a shopping app after a bad day, not because you needed anything, but because you needed to feel something different? If you're nodding right now, you're not alone, and you're definitely not broken. You're human. This is how the brain is wired. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Money isn't just numbers. Money is tangled up with our emotions, safety, self-worth, status, fear, freedom, love. When you spend impulsively, you're rarely solving a financial problem. You're solving an emotional one, temporarily, with a financial tool. And that's exactly why willpower alone doesn't fix money problems. You can't logic your way out of an emotional decision, because the decision was never made with logic in the first place. Think about the last big argument you had about money with a partner, a parent, or a friend. Was it really about the dollar amount? Or was it about what that dollar amount represented? Trust, security, respect, control. Money fights are almost never about the number on the receipt. They're about what that number means to each person involved. So here's the real question you should start asking yourself before every purchase. Am I buying this because I need it, or because I'm feeling something I'm trying to escape? That single question, asked honestly, can change your entire financial future. Because once you can name the emotion behind a purchase, you take away its power over you. The urge doesn't disappear completely, but you get a choice you didn't have before. Now let's talk about one of the sneakiest psychological traps of all, loss aversion. This one keeps millions of people out of the stock market, out of real estate, out of any kind of wealth-building investment, not because they don't have the money, but because they're terrified of losing it. Here's how it works. Psychologically, losing $100 hurts almost twice as much as gaining $100 feels good. Let that sink in. The pain of loss is roughly double the pleasure of an equivalent gain. That means your brain is not wired to weigh risk and reward fairly. It's wired to avoid pain, even if avoiding that pain costs you a much bigger reward down the road. Let's meet Sarah. Sarah has $20,000 sitting in a savings account earning almost nothing. She knows, logically, that if she invested it, it would likely grow significantly over the next 20 years. She's read the articles. She understands compound interest. But every time she thinks about moving that money into an investment account, her stomach tightens. What if the market crashes right after I invest? What if I lose it all? So the money just sits there, safe, untouched, and slowly losing value to inflation every single year. Does this sound familiar? Have you ever kept money safe in a low-interest account, not because it was the smart move, but because the idea of watching the number go down, even temporarily, felt unbearable? Here's the twist most people never think about. Keeping your money safe in cash isn't actually safe. Inflation quietly eats away at it every year. So while Sarah feels like she's protecting her money by avoiding the market, she's actually guaranteeing that it loses value over time. The fear of a visible loss is stopping her from avoiding a much bigger, invisible one. Loss aversion doesn't just affect investing, it shows up everywhere. It's why people hold onto a falling stock way too long, hoping it will come back, instead of cutting their losses. It's why people stay in bad financial situations, like a terrible phone contract or a subscription they never use, because canceling feels like admitting they wasted money. It's why people avoid checking their bank account when they're worried about the balance, as if not looking makes the number less real. So how do you fight something wired into your brain? You don't fight it head-on. You outsmart it. The people who succeed with investing aren't the ones who feel no fear. They're the ones who have built systems that don't require them to make an emotional decision every day. Automatic transfers into an investment account. A long-term plan they don't check every hour. Rules they set in advance during a calm moment so that fear doesn't get to make the decision when the market dips. Ask yourself this: is your money actually safe where it is, or does it just feel safe? Those are two very different things, and only one of them will build your future. Let's go back to James, our doctor from earlier. Remember how he made almost $300,000 a year and still had barely anything saved? This is the part of the story where we explain exactly why. It's called lifestyle inflation, and it might be the single biggest reason smart, high-earning people stay broke. Here's how it works. You get a raise. You feel like you deserve to enjoy it, so you upgrade something. A nicer apartment, a nicer car, nicer vacations. Makes sense, right? You worked hard for that raise. But here's the trap. Your spending rises just as fast as your income, sometimes faster. So even though you're making more money than ever, you don't actually feel any richer. You're just running on a faster treadmill. Think about your own life for a second. Do you spend more money now than you did 5 years ago? For most people, the answer is yes. Now the real question: Has your savings account grown at the same rate as your spending? For a lot of people, the honest answer is no. Let's go back to James one more time. When he was a medical resident, he made a modest salary and lived in a small one-bedroom apartment. He was, in some ways, financially healthier then than he is now because his spending matched his income. But once he became a full doctor, his income tripled almost overnight. And so did his spending. Bigger house, newer car, more frequent takeout, nicer everything. 10 years later, his income is triple what it used to be, but his savings rate is roughly the same or worse. The raises kept happening. The wealth never did. Why does this happen even to smart people? Because lifestyle upgrades feel like proof that you're succeeding. Buying a nicer car doesn't just get you from point A to point B. It tells a story about who you are, to yourself, and to everyone around you. That's a powerful emotional pull, and it's very hard to resist, especially when everyone around you is doing the exact same thing. Here's the question that separates people who build wealth from people who just look wealthy. When your income goes up, where does the extra money go? If every raise turns into a new expense, you will never get ahead, no matter how much you earn. But if even half of every raise goes towards savings or investments before you touch it, your wealth grows automatically, quietly in the background, without you having to feel deprived or give anything up. This is why you'll sometimes see a school teacher retire with more wealth than a corporate executive. It was never about how much they earned. It was about how much of what they earned they actually kept. Now let's talk about the skill that ties everything together. The one thing that shows up in almost every wealthy person's story, no matter their background, their income, or their education level: delayed gratification. You've probably heard of the famous marshmallow experiment. Researchers gave young children a marshmallow and told them, "You can eat this one now, or if you wait 15 minutes without eating it, you'll get 2 marshmallows instead." Some kids ate it immediately. Others found ways to distract themselves, resist the urge, and wait for the bigger reward. Years later, the children who waited tended to have better life outcomes across the board, including financially. Why does this simple idea matter so much? Because building wealth is essentially one long-delayed gratification test. Every time you choose to invest instead of spend, save instead of splurge, or wait instead of buy now, you're passing that same marshmallow test as an adult, just with bigger stakes. Let's tell one more story. 2 coworkers, Alex and Ben, start their jobs on the exact same day with the exact same salary. Alex spends most of what he earns: new phone every year, nice dinners every weekend, a car upgrade every couple of years. Ben lives more simply. He drives an older car, cooks most of his meals, and invests a consistent chunk of every paycheck. From the outside, Alex looks like he's winning. He's got the nicer things. He's living the exciting life. Ben looks boring. Fast forward 15 years. Alex is still living paycheck to paycheck, still upgrading his lifestyle every time his income grows. Ben, meanwhile, has a substantial investment portfolio, no debt and options, real freedom to change jobs, take risks, or even retire early if he wants to. Same starting point, same income, wildly different outcomes. The only difference was what each of them was willing to wait for. Here's a question worth sitting with. What are you optimizing for? How your life looks right now, or how your life feels 10 years from now? There's no wrong answer, but most people don't even realize they're making that choice every single day, in small decisions that don't feel like they matter in the moment. Delayed gratification isn't about never enjoying your money. It's not about living like a monk and denying yourself everything. It's about being intentional. Choosing which pleasures are worth the trade-off, and which ones are just habits you've never questioned. The people who build real wealth aren't superhuman. They've just trained themselves to tolerate a little short-term discomfort in exchange for long-term freedom. And that is a skill, which means, unlike intelligence or luck, it's something you can actually build. Here's something that surprises a lot of people. You don't need to understand the stock market inside and out to build wealth. You don't need to know how to read a company's balance sheet, or predict interest rate changes, or time the market perfectly. In fact, trying to master all of that complexity often makes things worse, not better, because it gives you more ways to talk yourself into risky, emotional decisions. What actually builds wealth for almost everyone who has it is boring. It's simple. It's repetitive. Save a percentage of every paycheck automatically. Invest it consistently no matter what the market is doing that week. Avoid high-interest debt. Live below your means. Do this for years without stopping. That's it. That's most of the secret. Think about Diane again, our school administrator from the beginning. Diane isn't a financial genius. She doesn't watch the news every night trying to predict the next big stock. She set up an automatic contribution to her retirement account years ago and mostly forgot about it. She pays off her credit card in full every month out of habit, not out of some deep financial strategy. None of this required brilliance. It required consistency. Compare that to someone who spends hours every week reading financial news, trying to pick the perfect stock, jumping in and out of investments based on headlines. Ironically, that person often ends up with worse results than someone who just quietly automated their savings and left it alone. Why? Because every time you make an active decision with your money, you open the door for emotion to sneak back in. Complexity creates more opportunities to panic, to second guess, to chase trends. Simplicity removes those opportunities almost entirely. Here's a question to end this section on. If building wealth mostly comes down to a handful of simple habits, why doesn't everyone do it? The answer brings us right back to where we started. It's not about knowledge. Most people already know they should save more and spend less. The gap isn't information, it's psychology. It's emotion. It's the pull of instant gratification, the fear of loss, the pressure of lifestyle inflation, all working against a handful of very simple habits that actually work. So the goal isn't to become a financial expert. The goal is to become someone who can quietly, consistently follow a few boring rules, even when your emotions are screaming at you to do something else. Let's go back to James and Diane one more time. James is smart. He's accomplished. He worked incredibly hard to get where he is. But he lets his emotions drive his spending. He fears the market instead of using it. His lifestyle grows every time his paycheck does, and he chases comfort now instead of freedom later. Diane isn't smarter. She isn't luckier. She just, without maybe even realizing it, built a few simple habits that work with her psychology instead of against it. She automated the boring stuff so her emotions never got a vote. And 10 years later, that made all the difference. So here's the real question this video was trying to answer. Why do smart people make bad money decisions? Because money was never really a math problem. It's a psychology problem wearing a math costume. And once you understand that, everything changes. You stop blaming yourself for not being smart enough with money. You start noticing the emotional trap in the moment before it turns into a decision you'll regret. You start building the boring, simple habits that quietly compound into real freedom. You don't need a higher IQ. You don't need a finance degree. You need self-awareness, a few simple systems, and the patience to let them work. If you can control your emotions around money, you're already ahead of most people. Subscribe to Wealth Mind for more insights into the psychology behind wealth and financial success.